Hi, thank you for joining me for another cutout cards. In this one I'm going to cover the regular cutout ornament. You'll need your cutout, which is just a circle. You'll need your card, of course your backing paper for your gluing, some watercolors. That's what we're going to use this time, some watercolors. And it doesn't have to be a big expensive artist type watercolor. You can pick these up from the 5 and dime. And some water. Also you'll need your glue stick and some glitter glue pens. Remember, the glitter glue pens just make it much easier to handle the glitter, so it's not so messy, it doesn't get everywhere. The drying time sucks, but they work really well. And you also need a pencil. So I place, for this one I make my placement for my ornament, and you can have this card either vertical or you can have it horizontal and place your ornament over here on this side if you want it. This one is a little big, but I'm going to use it anyway because I want to highlight the ornament itself. So that's about where I want the ornament to hang. And then you can write in here if you like. I'll have it hang about right here. And I'm going to just lightly come in. You don't have to be an artist. Just lightly come in and give the appearance of pine cones. There. And then along in here, it'll just be pine needles, branches from a pine tree. So with that there, and I would normally go in and do my background painting first and then come in and paint this, but I'm not going to do a lot of background painting. I want to more or less demonstrate the application of this. So I move from the inside to the outer edges, holding the paper. It's really delicate and it becomes more fragile when you add the glue. Making sure all the outer edges are covered. Now the inner surface, set that to the side. I want to make sure that that red catches the eye, so I don't want it going that way because it'll run your eyes straight off the paper. So I think I would rather it go this way. And you can smooth this out with your hand. I do that, I tend to get wrinkles in it. So that's why I like to use these little gift cards or an old credit card. I'm only applying very light pressure. I'm going to make sure every outside surface is down, which is really nice. So now it's adhered to it. When you work with those glitter glue pens, you want to make sure that's the last thing that you do because it takes so long for them to dry. So now I will come in with, and while I'm working with this, well, I'll show you. With these, when I work with these little things, I don't really need a lot of water. Set this over here to the side. One thing you don't want to do, no matter what you're doing when you work with these watercolors, is you don't want to bring the paint across. So you don't want to reach from that side over. So keep your paints to the right or the left of your paper so you're not messing up the paper. I'm only putting a very small amount of water Let's see. I want you to see what I'm doing. I can't tell if you can see that. Very small amount of water in there. And then I put it on there to make sure it's not too much water or too much pigment. I don't want it to be too much pigment. So now I'm going to come in here, and where I thought I had lines, that's about all I want on there. And I'll get this other brush, and I'm watering it way down, so I only want a very small amount of that pigment. And I'm going to put water in here where the pine cone is. And that way I come back and touch the surface where I had the pine cone. I'm just dotting and just streaking here and there. I don't want a lot of color, and that's why I wet the surface first. And now I have two greens. I don't want a lot. They will overlap. Remember, the pine needles do overlap, and they spike outward. Keep everything random. I'm dipping into my water and back into this color because I don't want too much color. Now these are in the background. Normally I would let these pieces dry before I add this, because this is going to cause a bleeding effect, which is okay in some cases. I want to fill in this back. But I want some to stand out and I want some to fade in, and that's what watercolor will do for you. It will let portions of it run and fade out or bleed out, and that's what you want. So I'm only going to come in here and dot. That's the appearance of texture on the pine cone itself. Let that dry, and then we can embellish that with the glitter glue. We no longer need those watercolors. We'll set those to the side. While we're waiting on all of that other stuff to dry, I'm just going to come in here and go around my edges. That really wasn't necessary, but I wanted to do it to kind of close off those edges. I'm going to use this card to scrape out this excuse me, middle section of glue. that was presenting a little mess. That I don't want on there. It's a little messy on that edge. That's the top, and I will need something. So I'm going to use the red. To string it along. And to help highlight that top piece for your bulb. Now when that does dry, I'll tell you what would look really nice. This may not show up so well. What will look really nice is to come back over here and put this would look much better if it was this is silver. And I'm putting little marks so it look like snow. Of course, I want it on the tops of the pine cones, and then here and there on the pieces that would stick out. And I would also do the same thing on the branches here. Come down on some of the branches, not all of them, because snow would lie on the top of the branches. And of course I don't have any white glue, glitter glue sticks, just silver. It doesn't need to cover the entire branch or needle, just little pieces of it. And then we will let that dry. So this could have some along the top of the bulb. And all in here would look really nice. So I'm going to lay that right on the edge of that red that's up there. To look like snow actually fell even on the top of this bulb. And then we will let that dry. See if you can see that it gives the effect of snow, but it also shows you it's a raised surface. I'm not sure if you can see that too well. No. But that will create a 3D effect, and it's not flat, and it creates a lot of interest as well as texture. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.